Are you ready to learn what red flags keep an eye out for when looking for love?
Then we got you covered. I'm Brianna.
And I'm Alex.
And this is the podcast where we unpack reality TV and call out the bullshit.
So that you show up confidently while dating and in relationships. Welcome to Ditch the Script.
I love it.
Hello.
Hey girl, hey. I'm pointing at my my Metamucil is making
Again.
a cameo. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's always back there.
You know, my breakfast this morning really has my guts a churning. I actually ate, you know. For those of you closest to me know I'm trying to gain weight right now because your girl, like, when she gets stressed or busy, that's what happens. She loses a lot of weight. So, so this morning I had like Greek yogurt with chia seed and cinnamon, and like my body's like, oh yeah, this is some nutritionally dense meals. This is not your McGriddle that you had 2 days ago.
Sustenance to break down unfamiliar.
Yeah, so this Metamucil, you know, it's all in the same energy. It's like, get yourself in the toilet.
Yeah, they're trying to help me out. Mine's also trying to balance out, like, I'm anemic, so I take iron every day. And it's all in prevention of having to get a blood transfusion, which my doctor absolutely scared the shit out of me with.
Shit,
So,
Brie, I didn't know that. Oh my God.
yeah. So
Take your iron.
so I've been taking iron because I'm like, I don't want a blood transfusion. First of all, if you've never taken iron before and you start taking iron, it literally feels like Adderall to start. I was
Seriously?
I felt like a superpower human bursting with energy. But I was so tired from like the low hemoglobin levels. So
Okay, wait, I should probably look into that. You know, that's actually one of my goals this summer is to get my blood work done because I'm sure I'm deficient in something. I know I'm deficient in magnesium, which I just took. And like, so remember how I was feeling like utter shit in Vegas? And I was like, I don't have my magnesium pills and I feel like I'm going to die. Okay, well, my nutrition coach that I'm working with, I was telling him about that because he has me doing a food and feelings journal. And like, you know, how do I feel before I eat? How do I feel while I'm eating? How do I feel after I'm eating? Whatever. And so basically post Vegas, I come back and I was like, I felt like I was going to die the whole time. I didn't have magnesium. But now that I'm back home, magnesium is being taken again daily and like everything's good. And he's like, yeah, I've actually read that if you have a magnesium deficiency, getting nauseous every time you eat is a thing. And I'm like, OMG, 100%.
I am so glad that we figured out what the fuck that was.
Because it was bad. I was like,
bad.
I mean, it didn't ruin my experience. Like it was still a vibe, but like I was on the struggle bus.
Well, what I'll say as your friend, I was like concerned. I was concerned.
Aww.
I was like, hey, what are we going to do about this? I was worried. Every time you were eating, you were sick. And I was like, she wants to gain weight. How is she going to make this happen if she gets sick every time? This is going to be horrible for her and painful. Yeah. So we have a lot of stuff coming up. A lot of Ditch the Script stuff.
So many exciting things.
Yeah, I'm really fucking excited about it. 2 parts. One, we have one more week of Married at First Sight. So we're going to go over last night's episode. And then we have one more episode, which is going to be the finale. And then we are officially going to transition into covering Ultimatum on Netflix.
Bum, bum, bum.
So Alex had used our Instagram to sort of reach out and get, crowdsource. What are people feeling? What do people want us to cover? And Ultimatum, which is sort of like a cousin of Love is Blind. Mm-hmm. And I say cousin because it's by the same producers. It's also hosted by Nick Lachey and...
Oh, shoot. I didn't know that.
What's her name?
Is it his new wifey?
Yeah, I mean, they've been married for like 15 years. But
but like not Jessica Simpson. Not the OG wifey.
Could you imagine if it was a show hosted by exes, Nick Lachey and Jessica Simpson together?
You know, they could probably book X on the beach that way, you know, have Jessica Simpson swim up and like, you know, that would be like 100% marketable. There you go. You're welcome. I want 50% of those profits, people, because you know that would sell.
That's true. I gotta be honest, you are such an ideas girl. I was gonna tell you this privately, but I'm gonna say it publicly now. There's no better time. I am so grateful for all of like your bursting ideas. Like, as busy as Alex is, you guys, she will hit my line with a voice note, which I love.
That hotline bling.
Yeah, she'll hotline bling me, and she'll hotline ring me, and she's like, I have this idea, and this is something that we can do. And there's always like so much like energy in your voice when you're talking about it, even when you're going through shit. Like, I mean, you and me, we be going through shit. So you could be going through something like having trouble keeping down food. And then like, and you'll be like, I had this really great idea, and I just think that this would be so awesome. Whoa.
Wow, she's so filled with excitement. She's got it. Your coughs are welcome here.
Thank you. And just a heads up, I'm drinking a seltzer right now, so burps may also be featured in this episode. Yeah. I thought I'd give my water bottle a break for the next 2 hours. Okay, so that leads me to our next thing, which is Alex's really tremendous, wonderful idea that's going to be a new development of Ditch the Script. Take it away, my friend.
Yeah, we're going to start doing some free mini sessions on the show, which is so exciting. So no matter what you identify as or your orientation, we welcome you. We want to help you. So if you have anything going on in your life, whether it's just like a generic dating and relationship question or something that you yourself are personally working through, what you can do is head to our website, ditchthescriptpod.com/podcast. And you can fill out a quick application. It's just your basic contact info and then telling us what you're going through. We're going to review those. And if we feel like you're a good fit for our show, we'll hit you up on email to schedule a time for us to go ahead and record a little 30-minute session with you. You just have to agree to have your voice recording and your face show on YouTube and Apple and Spotify.
And listen, Alex and I do this every week. The water is warm.
Yes.
It's okay. We will make it safe for you. I mean, obviously, like, it's going to be broadcasted where we put our episodes live. But, like, we will take care of you.
Totally.
And we will make you feel validated and heard and hopefully, like, help you a little.
Yeah. And I didn't tell you this, Brie, but I did put it on the form. Like, if you want to be anonymous, we'll make it work. And the way we'll do that is we'll just post the audio to both the video and the podcast file. And we can absolutely use, like, a nickname, you know, an alias for you if you'd like as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cool. We'd love, I mean, like, we want everyone to feel welcome and join us. But, like, if you're a man and you want some support and some insight, because here's the thing. We posted a reel this past week, and it did much better viewage-wise than previous reels that we've put out, mostly by men. It was received by men. Men were, like, responding to this reel, which was basically like, here is a what we believe is an obvious signal of flirting from women.
Yeah.
So if you thought that was interesting and you would like more insight, like I said, dive right in. The water is warm.
Yeah.
You're safe here.
Yep. Yes.
So.
I would love it. I've had a few male clients. I just had a new guy who's been hanging out with me for a while on TikTok sign up for my new program, Ready, Set, Swipe. And nice. I love it. When guys who are excited to establish healthy relationships are showing up for themselves, investing in themselves, and they're like, I want to understand women. I want to know how I can create a healthy relationship. Like, I'm here for it. So let us help you, because we are so down. Down.
It sort of got me thinking about, like, if I could just package and tie a bow around what I find that women who date men tend to be really frustrated about is, like, not being seen for, like, the dynamic people that we are, you know?
Yeah.
like, I think that when you're first connecting with someone, it's easy to just sort of compartmentalize new people that you meet. That's like, looks like this, has X job, has so many number of assets, whatever. And it's like, we would really respond super well to being asked questions.
Yes.
And like engaged, like we want to be engaged, not like, you know, put a ring on it, engaged, but like we want someone to engage in us in a conversation. And actually, if we can tell that you're listening, oh, even better, if you remember something that we said.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's going down.
It's so going down. That's like, that is such a huge step in intimacy, like emotional intimacy. Like, you're recalling information I've shared with you. OMG.
Yeah. And when we talk about this with like our girlfriends, we think that we're reminded of how low the bar is when we're like talking about it. We're like, listens, remembers, factoid about me. Like we think that it's bullshit. So like if we could share that with you, like we're not actually as complicated as like previous literature has written us out to be, as these like Medusa sirens out in the world, like tempting you for your resources and funds. We just want to be seen and validated, especially as like modern women in the world where like we have so much going on for us. And here's the thing to know about us. It's like, we're so proud of that. And in some ways it may have evolved in a way that looks like we don't really need you. We need our partners, whoever we're dating, like whether it's men, whether it's women, like we need connection and we want connection. And it's actually from the perspective of someone who would date us, it's such an honor that like we don't necessarily need you to get all of our needs met. But if I am choosing you to spend my time with, that's actually a way bigger compliment, right?
Yeah, totally. I agree with everything Brie just said. I think the reason dating, like men and women don't really want different things for the most part. Here's what I mean by that. We both want to be understood. We both want to be seen. We both want to be valued and appreciated. We both want to be respected. We both want to feel loved. Like it's not this crazy, experience where one gender really needs X, Y, and Z that the other gender just doesn't understand or can't do. It's not about that. It's the way in which we do feel seen and understood and loved that's different from person to person. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, so that's why learning and equipping, it's like one, learning your partner, two, equipping your partner with what they can do to love on you, to make you feel respected, to make you feel appreciated. That's really what relationships are all about. And so it just comes down to being really clear, communicative, and knowing yourself first and foremost. And I think that's a struggle for a lot of people, is like they haven't sat down and really reflected on like, what are my needs? What are my desires? What are the difference between those two? And how does that show up in real time for me? Like I just gave that exercise to a client this morning because she sent me her values and priorities exercise, which if you're a client of mine and you listen, hey, love you, but you know what that is. And I was like, this isn't detailed enough, like tell me more. What could they do or say to make you feel that way? Right. And I think the biggest hurdle that's our generation is really dealing with is this microwave culture of like dating and romance, where because we can meet so many people through dating apps, we don't give the person in front of us enough time for any kind of real relationship to develop, because our brains are wired to just keep seeking the new thing over and over again. So if you're at a place
or looking
in your life,
for a perfect match right off the bat.
Right. And that's just, sorry to break it to you, that ain't ever going to happen. It might feel or seem that way at first, but once those rose-colored glasses are removed, like your partner is a human being just like you are. So, give people time, know yourself, be able to articulate what your needs are and your desires are. And I can promise you that that is going to transform the way you date.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
that is our gift to you, men. And, You can compensate us in listening to our content and sharing it with your buddies.
Yeah.
Straight men have buddies.
And applying to be on the show. Yeah.
Yes.
Come hang out with us for 30 minutes.
Come hang out
Let
with
us
us.
give you specific guidance.
Yeah, we can hang.
So, oh my God, I think they know that by now.
Yeah.
The guys who listen to this show, are you kidding me? We can
That's
so
so
hang.
true. Also, a lot of them know us in real life, and they're like, yeah.
Also true.
Okay, so second to last Married at First Sight episode.
I know.
Here we go.
I know.
Can I be honest about my feelings that I was having last night?
Yeah. Go ahead.
As if there would be a more appropriate place to take that than here. I'm gonna miss them, and also I'm ready to be done with them.
Same. I'm so with you on both counts. On both counts. Yeah, I'm ready for something new. And at the same time, I like low-key want to know where they're at now and like how they're doing and all of that. So
I told Alex last night that that if there's a reunion show, if it's not combined with the last episode, we won't be covering it here. Like I refuse to give them more time.
Right.
But I like I will watch it. I will watch it because I want to know how they're feeling.
Yep.
Okay. Let's talk about Jasmine and Michael.
Okay, let's.
Yeah. Okay. Painting a picture of where we're at, as I love to do. They have officially 1 week before they have, quote, decision day. So what's happening now is each partner takes their partner to a nostalgic landmark of their childhood, whether that's a school that they went to, a childhood home that they grew up in, a park that they used to spend a lot of time at. Various types of like activities to like sort of bring their partner into that stage of their life in that world, which is such an incredible exercise to do with your partner, especially at this stage, after all of them have really been through a whole lot together. And then everyone is instructed individually to write a letter to their childhood selves, which is also a really incredible exercise that we encourage everyone to engage in. It's pretty intense, but also very healing.
So great.
And then they read those letters with their partner. And the outcome was like really beautiful. And we'll talk about that. And then there's also some intervention with the experts, namely Dr. Pepper. And
she
so
back.
she bad, she bougie, she back. And she sort of gets in with the couples and she checks in. And so that's really where we're at. You have anything just off the bat of like how you felt about this episode and the cadence of all of that?
No, I felt like this episode was like it was interesting. It wasn't anything like super profound that I felt that happened. And at the same time, these moments were just like, for some of the couples, really deepened their relationship. And for others, it was just interesting. Like, I wish I had a sexier word to use, but that's all I have.
I hear you. I hear that. Okay, so Mike and Jasmina, who for the most part have been doing really, really well, super intimate.
Yeah.
But generally, like, the intimacy is on high. The romance is a cold non-starter. Which is crazy to me. And I get what they're sort of like saying. They sort of continue to reference in their intervention with Dr. Pepper that they are like best friends and they've gotten really close, but they don't know, like they need their marriage to feel more than best friends. And it's just tough for me because the way that they welcomed each other into their childhood spaces and shared this like very vulnerable letter that they wrote to themselves, and knowing where they started from as far as like being open, being vulnerable, they truly are a couple that could do so well.
Yep.
They need to fucking make out.
I know. I wish they would just do it. I mean, and it's interesting because it's like, you know, when you watch them, even especially when they sat down with Dr. Pepper, the amount of warmth between those two now, whereas before it was like ice cold, like icy. And now Jasmina like lights up in her smile when she looks at Mike, and like I thought it was so cute how she got him flowers, and like you know, he said, and Dr. Pepper, it was so cute. She's like, wow, those are beautiful. And she's like, yeah, I got them for Mike because he says women don't get men flowers. And like, so I thought that was like playful, but also super romantic in its own way.
They're taking cues from each other.
Exactly. Imagine that. Like they're doing so
Imagine
well. I know. Yeah. They're doing so well. And so it is hard for you and I to kind of be on the outside looking in and saying like, you guys have the makings of a really rewarding long-term relationship, like with the amount of friendship that they've developed between, you know, with each other over these last few weeks has been insane. So it's like, imagine a year, imagine 2 years. Of course, there's still going to be bumps in the road, but those bumps, you know, are going to be different bumps, you know, like just like any kind of growth process. It's like they just they have it and they don't see it, or at least I don't feel Jasmina sees it. I think Mike sees it.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think he sees it and he's waiting for her because he doesn't want to push her. Because if romance includes sexuality or like sexual acts, intimate acts, then he's not trying to cross any sort of line. Yeah. You know? So he's really trying to respect whatever boundaries are, and Jasmina sort of needs to like move. I don't want to say she needs to move her boundaries. It's not for me to decide. Make out with your husband. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. She's allowed to toe the line. Like, what if it was just an elongated peck? Like, fine. Like, start there.
And then if you don't like it, pull back.
Right.
Say no. Yeah. He'll respond to it.
Yeah, boundaries are meant to be flexible, you know, and I really applaud Mike's focus on safety, like having her feel safe, because obviously without safety, a relationship is a hot mess express, to say the least. So I applaud him for like doing exactly what we were saying, really respecting her, not trying to force her. And I know that Jasmina really just needs to get to a place where she's like, okay, I might feel uncomfortable. This may feel weird. I might feel like I'm kissing my brother in my mindset going forward. But, like, let's just see what happens, you know?
She says it, too.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't know if maybe I just need to, like, do it and see what happens. And in that moment, I told you last week, I'm silent when I watch this show. And I screamed. I said, that's what you need to do. Like, you need to just do it.
Yeah.
You need to just fucking do it.
Yeah. So, you know, I hope they do, because they only got a week. And again, these two have so much potential if they would just get out of their own way, continue to get out of their own way. You know, it's totally salvageable. And more than that, like I said, it could be so rewarding for them long term. Something I caught that Mike did that I just want to highlight, because this is huge and I talk about this all the time, is when they were discussing with Dr. Pepper, talking about having kids, you know, in the future, Jasmine is like, I want kids within 18 months. And he was like, wait, do you mean trying in 18 months? Or do you mean like delivering in 18 months? And I was like, yes, good clarifying question. And I think I talk about this a lot on social media and in my programs, but I don't think folks necessarily understand how or what I mean, you know, because it's like, yeah, we all know a clarifying question, like, what did you mean by that? But in real time, like, this is what I mean. You know, Jasmina's trying to voice, like, I want kids in 18 months. And he's like, well, wait a second. What do you mean by that? Do you mean we're trying to have a child? We're trying to conceive? Or do you mean you're at the hospital, you know, dilated, ready to go? Because those are two very different things. And so that's what I mean when it comes to, you know, we don't want to make assumptions in relationships. So whenever something is communicated, whether it's about having babies or what someone wants for dinner, you know, Italian, do you mean pizza? Do you mean pasta? Do you mean chicken parm? Like,
clarify.
clarify. That was a very silly example, but also
no,
an example
it's relevant.
nonetheless.
No, because it's relevant and it's sort of like an everyday example, because how often do we go around assuming we know what our partners mean, our friends mean, our parents mean, our siblings mean. We just assume, and then we blame them when we're confused and we miss some information. It's like, yes, of course, could people be more direct in expressing what they want or what they mean? Sure. But do you have you have a brain, you have a voice, like ask a question. Huh?
Yeah. Ask it. Cool.
So,
anything else about this one?
Nah.
On to the next one.
Katina and Olajuwon.
Hey.
What I got from them in this experience is like, okay, a few things. One, Olajuwon showed some awareness in why he behaves the way that he does. And what we learn from Olajuwon is that it really comes from a sort of like hard knocks, like upbringing.
Yeah.
And his pursuit to secure himself came from a place of financial insecurity growing up and wanting safety growing up. So he put all of his eggs,
Sorry.
We got another? You're good.
No, I'm good.
I'm coughing, you're sneezing. I'm hiding burps, by the way. If you watch this and I'm making faces like...
Me too. I burped twice.
I've burped like 6 times. Seltzer is not my friend. Okay. He is trying... He's saying that he's put all of these things in his life and he became really rigid on that because he's worked so hard to get here. And while I think that he still has a lot of growing to do when it comes to compromise within a relationship, I understand the choices that he's made as an individual.
Right. Yeah. I think that, I think it's great to explain to someone the trauma you've been through and how it's shaped you. I think that's wonderful. I think it gives your partner a really thorough understanding of who you are as a person and, how they can see you through your lens. It gives them insight into that. Mm-hmm. And it's not a justification at the same time to treat people poorly. Yeah. And so with Olajuwon, I completely agree. It was great to hear some of, what he's seen, what he's experienced, what it was like for him as a kid growing up, and to see how far he's come. And I'm just really, again, still excited to see the progress that he makes as a human being, and the way he talks to women.
Yeah, I think he has a lot of it, because if Olajuwon was someone that I was seeing professionally, let me clarify that, I would not date that man. He has too much work to do, and I'm not prepared to help him. Yep. But if it was a professional agreement and he was a client of mine, or this was like a couple that I was seeing, I would probably bring a mirror to him and say, like, look at all of the things that have helped you become you. And also, are you able to show that same curiosity, compassion, and understanding for the person who agrees to be your partner? You are so worried about your partner growing into the type of wife that you want and need. How is she going to take care of me and balance school and balance children? I was low-key triggered from that. I was like, I'm out. However, but also, Olajuwon, it's okay that you're asking yourself those questions. What would it be like if your partner, in this case Katina, would ask you the same questions? We have been saying this since we got to know him. Where are you looking? Where are you trying to grow? Where are the things that you are trying to change to be a partner? Because this is not about Olajuwon established himself and therefore my partner just needs to be on the come up and meet me where I'm at. Huh?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I hope, really do. I hope he commits to himself. I hope he makes the commitment to himself to grow so that he can establish healthy relationships, whether it's with Katina or another woman moving forward. We don't know yet. But I do really feel that he's at a fork in the road. Like, it's all up to him. He can choose to stay the same or he can choose to keep growing.
Mm-hmm.
And if he wants a healthy relationship, he's going to need to grow.
What did you think about, so he had like a confessional moment, and he sort of got really emotional, and he was basically saying like, I wouldn't tell Katina this, which if you're going to start by saying I wouldn't tell my partner this, chances are, like, as a therapist, I'm like, you should probably tell your partner that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell Katina this, but if I were her, I'd double down and just go towards school and say no to this relationship. What did you think about that?
I thought that, full transparency, like my serious opinion,
Yeah.
like professional, I mean, it's semi-professional because I'm making this, or I have this opinion because of the lens in which I view relationships.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I feel like that was him showing that he isn't in it for the long haul and very much projecting that onto her because it's not his decision to make, it's Katina's decision to make. And so I think for him that was like kind of a little Freudian slip in a way, in the sense that like he subconsciously doesn't want to say yes to her, but instead of just like, you know, owning his doubts and his feelings, he's saying, you know, if I was Katina and I was at that place in my life, I would say no to me on decision day, and that makes me sad. And then the weird thing is he justified it by saying, you know, when you really care or love someone, that's what you do, you know. Mm-hmm. And it felt really icky to me, like, complete honesty. It didn't feel genuine. It just, yeah.
I had the exact same reaction.
Okay.
I felt the same way. I heard it and thought, wow, what an interesting way to tell the show that you are choosing to be out. Sometimes people do this, right?
Yeah.
When we are sort of this fork in the road that you're talking about in this relationship, in this setting, under these circumstances, sometimes we think about how we don't want to be in the relationship, and we give that voice to our partner, who actually did not express any of this at all. No. Katina's not thinking, I either need to choose school or choose Olajuwon. Katina's like, I'm choosing Olajuwon and school and a baby.
And being a mom. Yeah.
All these things. It's Olajuwon who's like, it has to be one or the other because it can't be both at the same time. That's not going to work. So in his like expression of, if I were her, I would choose one, that's Olajuwon saying, I am not going to choose Katina if this is what she plans to do.
Yeah.
And maybe a number of other things that he's not revealing. So we have to just, I want us to be aware of that in ourselves when we're sitting there and like struggling with like this person should be doing this, they should be feeling this way. Like if I were them, I would just like get out of the relationship. Like you recognize, take ownership of your own feelings about this. Stop giving your partner the voice that you are too afraid to own because you're afraid of how it's going to make you seem.
That is so true. I love how you said that. Stop giving your partner the voice that you're too afraid to own. It's so true. It's like a lot of times I think the most common way, you know, the whole like it's not you, it's me type thing. It's a very similar lens in which, you know, we hear the language of like, I'm not good enough for you. You deserve so much more. And it's so invalidating for the other person because it's like, you're taking my power of choice away by telling me that.
Yes.
It's so screwed up. It's like you're over here putting me on a pedestal, devaluing yourself, and you're the one leaving me trying to say that I'm too good for you, that I deserve so much more, when in healthy, conscious love, you see, oh my God, look at my partner. I'm so thankful to be with them. How can I rise to the occasion? How can I match them? How can I show up as the best version of me? Not this like screwed up, broken filter of everything that's
better.
Great about you. Yeah. makes me feel less about myself, so I'm going to run.
And also, like, you don't feel that way. You're just trying to soften a blow so that you can exit. And sometimes people don't even do that. Sometimes people just sabotage the relationship so that their partner decides that they're done.
Yeah, people ask me that all the time when it comes to, like, the cheating or, like, whatever, you know, why do people cheat? And I do, and I just answered this on a TikTok live. Why do people cheat? One, because they're polyamorous and haven't made peace with that yet, possibly. That's totally true because of societal conditioning, okay? Two, they, exactly like you said, they're too scared to break up with you, so they're giving this final blow to the relationship to have you break up with them because it's like this huge dividing, you know, what's the word? Damage.
Yeah.
And the other reason I am totally forgetting in this moment right now, but I answered it threefold. Oh, well.
Yeah. If you have an idea of why people cheat, leave it in the box. But I think that, like, I mean, not to get off topic, but, like, people cheat a lot of times. Esther Perel talks about this a lot. People cheat if they're not doing it to hurt their partner or to hurt their relationship. They're doing it to find themselves in a different situation.
Yeah.
And so it becomes very much like I'm seeking a version of myself that I haven't recognized in my relationship here, and so therefore I imagine that maybe I can find it with this other person and whatever. However, it does end up getting into this battle of, like, but they, you know, you find yourself wondering, they haven't left me yet. If it was that bad, it's like they want you to do it. They want you to do it. So we should all just feel a bit more empowered that if you want to leave, I'm speaking to you, Olajuwon, if you want to leave, if you think that, if you feel that for you, it is not good enough for your wife to choose to have a family and her education going on at the same time and to take on all of the fucking chef responsibilities in your household as your quote wife, if that doesn't work for you, you say no. Don't put that on Katina. That's your choice.
Yep.
Period. Anyway, the other thing that we got from Katina and Olajuwon from this episode is that they both want to raise their children in the church, which would have been like a really lovely sentiment, but the two of them just seemed incredibly
it was a little weird
by that. So I was done with them.
Right? It was a little strange.
It's Olajuwon's energy. It's his. Because Katina's very like, I also, at least editing wise, I want to keep in mind that editing plays such a big role in the show. I have to remind myself this all the time because, like, Olajuwon is really made out to be a villain, as is Lindsay, and I have to keep in mind that this show is so cut and spliced and diced and served to us on some fucked up Picasso plate. So, like, but what it seems like from what we can see is that, like, this is like the first time the Olajuwon's even asked Katina a fucking question. So she's like lapping it up and she's like telling her all of this stuff about him. And I love hearing about this stuff about Katina, but he just is so underwhelmed. So
yeah, it's like a little conversational narky type vibes. Like, if it's not about him, he's not like engaged in the conversation, which throwback to the beginning of the episode when we talk about we want engagement in conversation. We actually want to feel like you're interested by us. Like,
well, that's why this bothered me so much. I mean, there was some of Olajuwon's body language of him turning towards Katina and actually starting to ask questions and engage, and they really started to relate a little bit better. And I could see that. It was just sort of the ending for me where they were just like, yeah, cool, whatever. But
yeah, it fell flat.
Their dynamic tends to upset me because it reminds me of exactly what we were talking about in the beginning of the episode. When I've been on dates and I feel like it's been so long since I've been engaged by a person who's supposed to like want to date me that I feel like I want to give them all of this information because I want to show that I'm dynamic. And I've learned, like, I need to, like, slowly sort of titrate some of that out because it's a lot to get it all, like, up front. Like, you don't need the full resume. But it's just, like, if we get too excited and we start, like, foaming at the mouth because you asked us a question, it's because we're starved.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Especially little Katina, poor thing.
And little Brianna.
And Brianna. I'll ask you questions. Should I call you?
You do.
Up? I'm gonna call you up and let's play this game you got me for Christmas together.
Oh my God, yes.
Let's FaceTime and we'll do it.
Please. Absolutely.
Date night.
Okay, I'm excited about that. Ooh, date night.
Who's next?
Actually, I'd have thought about that, our future date nights, but more to come on that in the future.
Oh my God, I can't wait to hear about it.
Okay, next, let's talk about... Let's talk about Steve and Noi.
Okie doke.
So, what'd you think?
I thought it was so cute. So Steve takes Noi to his childhood home and his mom jumps in, which I thought was so, like, insightful on their relationship. Like, she came in and was, like, cracking along with, like, some of the memories that Steve was sharing about, the basement parties and, like, how he used to sneak out at night and put the car in neutral and, like, all that stuff. And she's like, we heard you, by the way. So it was fun to, like, have
Very
her
normal.
There. Yeah, exactly.
Ooh.
And to, like, see their connection. Go ahead.
You guys, the best part about this, I mean, okay, so first of all, the house and environment that Steve grew up in, I think, like, a lot of people, like, fantasize about growing up in. Not that it was, like, very lavish. It was certainly comfortable, but you could just tell there's so much love there. The way that they have turned all of the kids' like old rooms into like rooms suitable for the grandkids is just like there's an overturning of love, just never ending, like boundless love in that house. And I'm sure it's got its own problems, but anyway, it seems like a really supportive and healthy home to grow up in. But the best part, the absolute best part, if you do not watch this show, the best part is Steve and his buddy record a hip hop track in high school, and they like pass it out on burner CDs around Boston, and they say that it was playing in people's cars. And I'm like, all right, Steve. And they are, so he plays it for Noi. Noi's listening to it. She's into it. Mom is rapping.
Yeah.
She's rapping. She's so in it. And I just like, my heart was swelling because it was just, she was so supportive, but she was also like so funny, and she still remembered some of the words. It was so cute.
Yeah, especially since her son's like rapping about his girl. Like,
yeah,
she wasn't like I don't know. I wish we could go back in time and when Steve first recorded that song, see how she reacted to it. I wonder if she was like, "What girl? What girl are you singing about in this song?"
Oh my
or
God,
if she was just like, "This slaps."
Yeah, I have a feeling she probably was like. She seems like the type of lady that was like, this slaps, but like I'm ignoring what you're writing.
Do I need
about.
to get you condoms? Yeah.
She probably already gave him condoms. Let's be real. Yeah, she was like, his lyrics were literally like, "My girl's so fine, I pick her up on a dime." Like, and Mom is like, "Pick her up on a dime." It was so. Oh God, it was so cute.
It was. It was adorable. It was so cute. And then they go to a dance class together. So Steve was voted best dancer in high school superlatives, and we all know Noi. Like, she loves to have her, crazy side come out and dance and do the wigs and all that. So they took a dance class together, and that was like
something
so
I have
cute.
Yep, I have never been able to do that with an ex-boyfriend of mine.
Yeah, same.
Never.
Me neither. I don't know if I would want to. I don't know if
I don't think I'd want to either. But I was interested on how you and I would feel about that. Like, let's say we're dating someone that is a good dancer. They don't have to be a trained dancer, but they are like a good dancer. And we go to a hip hop class together. How are we feeling?
Oh my God. I would be, this is why I don't think I would go. Mm-hmm. Unless this was someone who like had extensive training like me, then maybe I would be okay with that. And here's why. I'm being super honest. Mm-hmm. Me being like the dancer that I am / was, I don't know. I feel like once a dancer, always a dancer. As
always
you
a dancer.
Probably do too.
Married, baby. Married,
baby. Yeah. I feel like I would take it so seriously that like, because I would want to like do good in the class. And I think I would be so focused on like learning the choreography and like improving with each time, because like that's just the zone I go to when I'm in a dance class, that it would be, yeah. And so I guess the only caveat to that, this hypothetical scenario, would be if it was a group setting, I'd be able to turn that side of me off, because like we would be like with a group of friends and I would be like, this is just for fun, like whatever. But to have a private dance class with my partner, I would be like, I'm going to get the most out of this dance class that I can get the most out of, which means I am going to be up here feeling my Beyonce side of myself. Like,
right.
You know?
And so therefore you're no longer engaging in the activity as like a shared
with him
team building and partner activity. You're like, I came here to dance.
Yeah. It's a little Black Swanny in there, like, you know, like, again, full transparency, you know?
Yeah. I'll be honest. I think because we were trained so hard, I've tried to take adult classes in the past, and it's very hard for me to have fun doing it. And it's not because dancing doesn't make my soul come alive. It very much does. It's because in the setting of a dance class, we were trained to strive for perfection.
Yeah.
And my brain in a mode to like work towards perfection is not purposed for having fun. I'm there to like do a job and like perfect skill. That doesn't mean that I was like perfect doing it, but it was like the constant pressure to continue to be better than you were, which I could only unlearn that if I committed to doing more classes, and every time was like, no, you're here to have fun. No, you're here to have fun. No, you're here to have fun. No, you're here to have fun.
Yeah.
And I am not interested in doing that.
Yeah.
With a partner, period. Point blank, period. Puts me in a very different headspace than I am as like a person.
So true.
On a date.
Yep. I so get that.
Okay. Sorry. Alex and I, as our histories demand us, we needed to answer that question.
We really did.
So, but in that, Noi is not like us. Noi found, like, so what we learned about Noi is that her environment growing up at home, while her parents were very committed to working super fucking hard to provide for her siblings, there is a cultural norm of not welcoming any sort of emotional expression other than neutrality and like commitment. Yeah, exactly. And like I'm sure that there's I think that there's like limits on that as well, right? Mm-hmm. So so Noi found dance to be a place where she could express herself through her body in a controlled setting, which totally fucking makes sense why she leaves.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that, this is why understanding your childhood and connecting the dots is such a huge, like, quantum leap into healing, because it's like the second you have that awareness of like, oh, I do this because of this childhood conditioning, it's like, wow, I get to choose a different response next time. So like you feel that come up and you're like, wait a second, instead of bolting for the door, let me tell him I need a break, which she's doing. But yeah, absolutely. Right. Like I'm glad that she has that awareness. And I also so relate to her when she says like, I couldn't emote at home. And so dance and singing were like my ways to do that. And, you know, I say this as a joke, but it's not a joke at all. It's 100% fact. It's just funny that it's like, I was so in love with dancing growing up because that was my form of emotional regulation my whole life without even knowing it. And now I'm telling clients all the time, move your frickin' body, dance. Yeah. Like, seriously, it doesn't need to be choreographed. It doesn't need to be.
It doesn't need to be good.
No, it doesn't need to be the latest pop trend. Like, it can be to ambient music if that's, like, the emotion you're in, this, like, ambiguous, I don't know what I'm feeling. You're allowed to just move. It doesn't need to be anything.
Yeah.
So I loved, like, her having that awareness and connecting those dots and, like, also letting Steve in on that side of her. And then it gave her clarity, like, to express to him, you know, the social media stuff. Is it me holding on to my individuality because I don't like you or don't want you around? It's because that was taken from me for so long that I just want to feel like I'm still able to do that as an individual.
Yeah.
Which I thought was helpful. You know, again, it might not justify it, like I said before, but at least it's helpful for Steve to understand.
Yeah, because if we are asking our partners to change, change has to happen over time. Yeah. Change is not immediate. It's not overnight. It's not going to happen the next time you have a big fight. Change is gradual, and it takes like long commitment. So of course, as partners who are asking our partners to make changes, we want to see that changes are being made, but we also need to elicit patience. We need to have patience. So having an understanding of why this issue exists in the first place, like you're saying, Alex, like get to know your partner's like childhood upbringing, as Freudian as that sounds. If it helps you understand, it'll help you understand why it's difficult to unlearn and to promote like healthier changes. And your partner is, spoiler alert, a human fucking being. So it's going to take some time for it to happen.
And it allows you to approach them with compassion when you see those moments happen within them.
Yeah.
So like Steve knowing now, like she bolts because of that, again, what she's been through as a kid and feeling like I can't express myself. So like, let me just go be alone and try and figure this out on my own. You know, when he sees her, maybe whether she becomes rigid in her body language or he sees her glance at the door, he can soften and be like, okay, hey, I see what's going on. I see like you're looking to bolt right now. I just want you to know you're safe and I love you. And if you need time, no worries, you know? And like, that's what she needs in those moments. Whereas the ego state, like if Steve was in his ego state, he would see her do that and be like, oh, so you want to leave now? Oh, so you're just going to bolt on me again? And that's what I'm like, that's what Brie and I mean when we talk about like our ego lens versus our, you know, awareness and what's the word? A lens that comes through healing. Like, I don't want to use enlightened, but that kind of vibe. When we're at a place where we can choose to see a different perspective, it allows us to respond with more intention.
Yeah, and Steve makes a very good example of this. So he has this understanding. Oh, he's so emotionally intelligent.
I know.
It's so sexy. It's so really sexy. Hot.
Any men who are watching the show and you want to know how to get a woman, a high vibe, quality woman, go learn Steve. Just go watch Steve and implement all of the things that Steve says and does.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't necessarily need to like have a rap track from your high school
or
be
days. The superlative of best dancer for your high school. Those honestly, aren't requirements.
We don't need to go to a dance class together. Ugh.
Yeah. No.
But yes, absolutely. Like, so what he does here is he hears and he understands. That's key here. He understands that Noi grew up in a household that was not welcoming of emotional expression. So it makes sense why she wants to hang on to her individuality, her independence, because that was not a choice. That was a choice that was made for her for so long. And what he says, without missing a fucking beat, he's like, oh, okay, so it's going to be really important that she comes to learn that the space that we share at home is going to continue to be an emotionally safe place for her to express herself regardless of the emotion. I was so like,
hot. Take me to bed.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was just like, it was so, I don't think that I was going to expect that answer because it was like, it was a step ahead of where he could have gone with that, which is, oh, okay, I understand why that's hard for her. Most people wouldn't know where to go with that or how to help their partner, and he knew, probably and due to his parents. Honestly, it probably has a lot to do with his own upbringing because that's what he says. He says, my home growing up was always free for me to express myself. So I know that I need to more or less replicate that type of energy at home. And then she will learn over time. And we can, if you're wondering, like, okay, so I grew up in a background similar to Noi's. I know that this is something I struggle with. And I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to fix this part of myself or like my partner can fix this. It's through gradual exposure to healthier expressions of vulnerability is going to allow for new neural pathways to connect, and you will get to rewrite your understanding of emotional expression, being vulnerable in a safe place.
Yeah. Oh
Done.
my God. I'm so excited for them because it's
Me too.
the fact that he has that amount of awareness and is able to, he's like a little computer. He hears the information and quite literally he's like, okay, so moving forward, this is what I need to do. This is how I need to manage myself to make my wife feel safe. And it's like, oh my God, such an invaluable skill. Emotional intelligence. Sexiest
Hot,
thing
sexy,
in a person.
sexy. Yep.
For real.
Yeah. Okay. I guess the only other thing that we learn here is that Noi still wants to live separately. Dr. Pepper was like, I actually live separate from my partner. Yeah. And Noi got all excited. But what we also learn is that Dr. Pepper was like, however, this is my second marriage. We've been married for 15 years. My first marriage, we were living together because we were raising kids together. So she wasn't saying this, but what I'm saying is it's not that you can't live separately from your partner in the earlier stages of your first marriage as young adults. But if you're planning to have kids and you're not separated, chances are it's going to be more practical to raise kids in the same home and not be shuttling them back and forth as two adults that are together.
Yeah. And with child psychology, I know a little bit. I'm not going to sit here and act like a child psychologist expert because that is not the amount of, I haven't researched that as much. However, I will say
what you know
that disrupting a kid, so we see this a lot with military families who have to move constantly, but uprooting a child in those early developmental stages is really dysregulating for them because they need consistency, they need routine, and the reason they need those consistent routine behaviors and environments is because that is what establishes the sense of safety for a child, because they're not old enough yet to know that if my parents are living apart, they love each other, they're just living apart. It's really hard for a little kid's brain to understand that because it's not fully developed yet. So, living in the same house when you are having kids is severely beneficial for the child to know that it has a home that is solid, that they can come back to, that's consistent, where both parents are accessible to them. And so I say that with what Dr. Pepper revealed. I'm so glad she said that because there's such a stigma in this country that if you're in a long-term relationship, you should be living together, and if you're married, you should be living together. And the reality is that there are so many marriages that have probably divorced because of cohabitating, and they could have been totally fine if they just kept loving on each other, living in separate places.
At least maybe you just try separate bedrooms.
Yeah, even separate bedrooms. Yeah.
Dip a toe.
There's, again, I spend way too much time on Reddit in the relationship advice section. But there are so many people that I've even read on there that, they live separately. They'll occasionally have slumber parties, and that's a really special date night for them. And consistently sharing a bed has been so disruptive to taking care of themselves that they're we feel that us getting the best sleep possible is actually what makes our relationship strong. So if that's what works for us, why not do it? And so if you're listening to this, also, side note, same thing even with different blankets. Maybe you do share a bed, but you each have your own blanket, so you're not hogging covers. That's something I've done in my relationship.
Eliminate the problem.
Yes. It's but so many couples feel is this a sign? And it's it's not a freaking sign. You're trying to make it, you're resolving it.
Also, just quick tidbit about searching for signs that your relationship is bad. If you're looking for a sign, it means that there's a little voice inside of you. I'm not telling you that your voice is that little voice is right, but there's a little voice inside of you that's looking to say, I'm looking for a sign to validate the fact that I am nervous that this relationship is not the right one for me.
Right. And if that is you, I challenge you to reflect on those feelings and thoughts and figure out what it is about the relationship that has you feeling insecure or second guessing it or wondering if this is, someone you should commit your life to, and actually sit down with your partner and communicate that. Because I can tell you one thing, silencing yourself is not going to resolve anything. It is going to make that sensation louder and more uncomfortable over a period of time. Whereas if you just sit your person down and you're like, look, I really care about you. And if I'm being honest, I am freaking the fuck out because these are my concerns for the longevity of our relationship.
Yeah.
This is how I'm feeling. And I don't really know what to do about it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to let you know, and I would love it if we could talk and maybe figure this out together. And that's going to feel so much better and be way healthier.
Can I just say that we are dropping some hot fire bombs today?
Yeah, we are.
Hot fire bombs. Jeez.
Pop, 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 pop.
Oh my God. The insight that is oozing out of our brains is just, it's going to heal the world.
Unreal. It's going to heal the world. Oh my God, reminds me of Bo Burnham. Healing the world with comedy.
Well, we're not doing it with comedy all the time.
No.
But we are talking about it through psychology. He is. Bo Burnham is healing us with comedy, but I also hope he's okay.
I know. Me too. I feel like the fact that he can talk about it so openly is a good sign.
I'm hoping that things got better after he put out that project.
Yeah, because it was gold. It was gold, though. We know you listen to us.
Number one listener every week. Listens every week.
Yes, he does.
Okay. And last but certainly never least, Mark and Lindsay.
Mark and Lindsay.
Mark and Lindsay.
These two just need to be done, I think.
I think so too. However, so in this episode, Mark's cat dies.
I know, JC.
Oh, R.I.P. You know, listen, R.I.P. JC.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pour one out because I've got a lot of expensive electronics around me, but
we both had
respect.
A sip.
Yeah, respect to you, JC. What's tough about Mark and Lindsay is that they really don't see each other. There's a couple things that I noticed, though. It's like Mark's expression of, like, you play too much with me and you trying to love on me, like in the, how he sort of describes it, sort of like an aggressive kind of way, is too much. It doesn't give me any room to, like, meet you there because you're always pushing on me. And I know that that's a dynamic that exists in a lot of partnerships. And I would say that if that is you and you find yourself that, like, you still want to be together, you need to play around with the cadence of, like, your affection cycles.
Yeah.
So this can also really help, like who initiates sex. But if one person is always, always, always pursuing, in this case it's Lindsay, it's always like tugging on, it's playing with, sticking a finger in an ear, like, and she's doing these, at least because of what we're seeing televised, and we're not seeing private stuff. This is like non-sexual, just like play. And for the person that's Mark, it's like annoying to him and he doesn't like it. And so Lindsay receives that as, you don't like me, you want me to be a different type of woman for you. And there's a part of me that thinks that Mark probably does believe that, but he's also saying, I do care about you a lot. And I think that I can meet you affection-wise, but you need to let me come to you a little bit more. And I do think that that's something that a couple can play with, which is like, if you tend to be the pursuer, hang back, sit in the discomfort. It's going to be a little uncomfortable because it's going to be new for you, and watch your partner start coming to you. Trust me, they'll miss you a little bit. I think that we live in this fear that if I stop, they're never going to want to touch me again. And if you find out that that's the case, okay, great. You have permission to leave the relationship.
Yes.
But give them space and then maybe see if they pursue you. Yeah.
I'm looking for a prop. Let's see if I can find one, because I know there was
This
one
is our
the
first
other day.
Ditch the Script prop.
Yeah.
Prop.
Well, if I can find it. I can't right now. But have you heard of the rubber band effect?
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of it? Yeah, so I think it's a great visual for what Brie is trying to describe. So, like, ideally, I had a scrunchie on my finger. I was just talking to a client about this, or actually a past client. So this is a client of mine who I helped get into this relationship, and now 6 months later, she's like, "Oh my God, I need a refresh because like I see myself self-sabotaging." Yeah. So, and I'm not gonna say her name. I love you so much. She took this session in a freaking Home Depot in the middle of Brooklyn. She was like, I need help now. She's like, I don't care. I'm going to sit in front of the power drills. And so I was talking to her about this because this is what, bad bitch. I freaking love her. She's great. I love all my clients. So she was just expressing to me like, you know, I feel, because she has an anxious attachment style, which if you resonate with that, you know, that is something that tends to happen is you want to cling, you want to be the one that's pursuing, because in that pursuit, when you're met, that reassurance makes you relax, makes you feel safe. And the thing that's a struggle for those of us with anxious attachment styles to understand is that when we allow for us, I don't like, you know, I use the term scarcity, and what I mean by that isn't disappear and don't, you know, ignore them and like, you know, go away for multiple days and don't interact with their social media. That's not what I'm saying. But when you allow for time apart, when you allow for some distance in the relationship and you stretch, if you envisioned like stretching a rubber band, right? That's the distance. When you let go, it's going to come back together, right? And so there's this beautiful flexibility to relationships where, yes, you do want to be together and you want to have some consistency there with nurturing the relationship. And you both need to have lives outside of the relationship that you love, that fuel you, that light you up. Because one, it's a really sexy quality to have. But two, it allows for that longing and that desire for each other to be there. Mm-hmm. If you spend all your time together, there's going to be none of that.
Yeah.
So that's the rubber band effect, and that's exactly what I just wanted to illustrate it more.
Please, I needed help. So that's exactly what I think Lindsay and Mark could play with if they decided to. And I actually think, with the assistance of Dr. Pepper, I think that that's what Mark was asking for, right? And Lindsay, if she's going to take on an exercise like that, she needs to learn how to not take that rejection as personally as she does. But of course, knowing her background, that's very hard for her, because she puts her walls up as soon as she feels rejected or being asked to change. Because what we have learned about Lindsay, but it becomes like abundantly clear in this episode, is that she has built up a really tough exterior, because for so long in her life she's just been sort of named as a lot, too much, criticized, I guess. And she's worked really hard to learn how to love who she is. She loves herself fiercely, and I really admire that. Mm-hmm. I also can see how it puts a wall between her and anyone who is like looking to find their way to loving her dynamically in the way that she wants. Yeah.
So, you know, because here's my opinion on Mark and Lindsay, because like I feel like what Mark and Lindsay are going through is what a lot of couples are like go through with this, especially when you're first living together, like cohabitating. First of all, this entire timeline is so fast, but let's say you date someone for like a year or two before you move in. I can tell you within that first year of cohabitating is going to be interesting, because there are going to be aspects of your relationship that you didn't need to deal with when you were living apart that you will need to conquer living together. So not only are they dealing with that piece of the cohabitating, they're also dealing with still getting to know each other. And by the way, you're married. So it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. I feel that Mark and Lindsay could actually, like, full transparency, I really do feel they could have a healthy relationship if they heeded the advice that they are being given, and yet they do not implement anything. It's driving me nuts. Like,
that's why you say they need to go.
Yeah, it's like at this point I feel like they just need to be done, because neither of them are fully implementing what they're being given by Dr. Pepper, Dr. Calvin, or Viviana. I feel like we've seen short glimpses of like with Mark with the whiteboard and things like that. But as far as when it comes to how they treat each other, it's like they really do just need an expert consistently seeing them, making sure that they're,
Holding them accountable.
taking action. Exactly. Without that, this shit's going to keep happening. And it's exhausting for both of them.
Yeah. They both really don't. I think that Lindsay really doesn't want to change and doesn't see that she needs to change. And Mark has Lindsay, who is too easily made a scapegoat for the dramatic problems that they experience. Right?
Yeah.
So it's not that Mark is unwilling to change. It's just that he has this very like animated character as a partner that it's much easier to be like, when she does this, I react this way. Which sometimes absolutely is true, but also like, Mark, you got bending to do too, bro. Yeah. It's tough, I think, for me, at least especially in this episode, because when we quite literally witness like the veterinary visit and the like ultimate death of like Mark's cat, we see that like Lindsay and Mark are actually, they really flow together as far as how they support one another, and incredibly non-verbally. And of course, a relationship cannot just be made up of two people who are really good together in tragic moments. But it just gives you one of these lights of like, man, if the two of you really got your shit together as a couple, this could be a really good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And as individuals. And I think like that's really where the issue lies, is like they both keep trying to say like, yeah, we're working on our marriage. I wish they would choose the words, I'm working on myself and how I show up in this marriage. Because I think that's the focus, is it's like it's so focused on what they're doing as a couple or on what the other I think using the words in this marriage makes you look at how are they improving. But again, that can't be our focus. It always needs to be like, how am I contributing to this? How am I showing up? How can I take my ownership of my part and do better next time? Like, it really needs to be that focus. And I think that both of them are missing that. And that's what is it's just fallen apart at the seams. It's hard. It's so hard to watch, because it's like you say, like you see these really tender moments, and we have seen multiple tender moments between them the entire time. Like even in Puerto Rico, they had a couple cute moments. So it's really volatile. And at the end of the day, what if they were clients of mine, I would be like, do you see enough value in this person sitting in front of you to do the work, to grow as an individual? Because if you don't, because you know what I mean? Like if Mark bought into Lindsay more and actually like, because I'm with you at what you said last week, like Mark doesn't truly enjoy her fully. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like that also obviously why they need to be done. But if he did value her enough, if he did say, like I know that there's this bucket of items that really drive me nuts about her, but like as far as the partnership, and like she's been through me with me having to put down my cat, she's been through me dealing with the bed bug situation and getting evicted, and she's been with me through this, and I really appreciate that, and I know I need that in a partner, and there's other aspects I value about her, I am committed to doing in the work. Then if both of them got to a place like that, Lindsay for Mark, they totally could. Yeah, it's totally. Just that at the end of the day is the deciding factor, and I don't think either of them are there yet.
Yeah, fully agree. Well, that brings us to our red flag, green flag.
Red flag, green flag, this is how we do it.
That's a really good red flag, green flag jingle.
Okay, maybe I should make it my garage band. I like it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. By the way, Alex made our opener jingle on GarageBand.
Do we like it? I'm like still not in love with it. I'm gonna keep tweaking it, but
that's only because you made it. I love it. / also these things register not that important to me. Yeah. I love it.
I love a good podcast jingle, so it's like I gotta make my own.
You want to elevate it. Listen, if you are a listener and you have an idea and you want to give us the rights to your recorded jingle for us to add, we'll feature it on this episode or the next episode,
all the episodes
exactly. Okay. What's your red flag?
What is my red flag? Because I already know my green flag. I really don't have one. You go first. Do you have one?
Well, I know that you didn't want to give it to Olajuwon, but I will.
Okay. Go.
Okay. My red flag goes to you, Olajuwon, today. 4, specifically. I know that you're not intentionally doing this. I'm speaking to them as if he's listening. Okay. I'm giving it to Olajuwon because I don't think that he's intending to put Katina in the, like, decision maker of, like, school or marriage or kids or all of it. It can't be all of it. It has to be one, or it has to be like marriage and school, or school and you're on your own. I wish that he would own that was not good for him. I mean, I think that he's trying to say to her that doesn't work for him, but I just wish that he would be like, Katina, I really have a hard time seeing how that would work for me. It's not good enough for me. I hear you when you say that this is something that you believe that you're able to do. I believe in your ability to do that. I think for the needs that I'm assessing that I need in this relationship, which has only been so fucking obvious because it's all he fucking talks about, I don't think that it's going to be, I'm worried that I'm not going to get my needs met in this relationship. And is that going to make him sound like an asshole? Yes. But unfortunately, Olajuwon, that's your motherfucking truth. So I think that it's a red flag that he's like all emotional and being like, yeah, like she needs to do this. Don't tell her what she fucking needs to do. You get to decide if what she thinks that she needs to do is not going to work for you. So own it, even if it makes you a bit of the villain.
For real. Snaps, go off, Brie. That was 100% completely accurate and correct in what should be happening instead. And it is a form of manipulation. Again, I'm with you that, like, I don't think he's doing it intentionally. I think a lot of people don't intend to do it, but that's very much what it is. They, like, get emotional to try and, like, deflect and project, and it's like,
It's scapegoating.
Brie and I can see right through it. We can see right through it.
it.
Okay, here's my red flag. My red flag is, it's going to be with Lindsay this time around, and something that she said with Dr. Pepper. So Dr. Pepper was kind of talking to both of them around, like, saying, Lindsay, you need to pull back, you know, and Lindsay kept interjecting, being like, but I do want a partner who's going to try new foods. I do want a partner who's going to play with me. I do want a partner who's going to do this, that, and the other thing. And what bothered me about that was she's not giving him the credit where it's due when he has tried new foods that were uncomfortable for him. Okay, so she is expecting if I was going to boil down my red flag into one sentence, it's you cannot think that your dreamed up version of your ideal partner is going to manifest in physical form. You cannot think that, because there are going to be people out there who, sure, maybe if I'm talking about Lindsay's ideal partner, maybe super playful, may try all the new foods, but talk down to you all the time. What would you rather have? A partner who doesn't try new foods, but really talks to you well. Like, pick and choose your trade-offs. And so that's my issue with what Lindsay was saying. Was part of it is she's not giving him credit where it is due with how he's been with her so far. And the other half is she is, because of the wounds, and I can say this, because of how much Marcus hurt her, she is becoming less and less open to who he is and more rigid onto what she is missing in this relationship. That is becoming her focus. Yeah. So that's my red flag.
Beautiful. I mean, not great for Lindsay, but beautiful that you pointed that out.
I still have such a huge heart for her. If I met her in real life, I would want to sit down and take her for a coffee and hug her, and I would love to do some parts work with her if she ever wanted to work with me. Like, seriously, I see so many of her parts popping up in these episodes, and it's like, girl,
she's a good girl.
She is. She is just self-sabotaging left, right, and center.
She is, like, such a dynamic being. She deserves to be loved and appreciated, and she deserves to feel safe in her relationship.
Yeah. And she is really, so great with emergencies. Like,
she's so great. She's so good in crisis. She's also so fucking smart. She's so smart. She's really cultured. Like, she can take you to a literal, like, field of weeds and name weeds. Yeah. Like, this girl has a lot to give and a lot of love, and she will absolutely fucking go to bat for you, but she needs to be patient with a total strangers, like, come up to understanding what she needs as a partner. Right. And like, because she puts those walls up in response to what she's been through in the past, she puts them up quick and fast, and you have to keep in mind that your partner's going to respond to the way that you put up those guards, up those boundaries. So
100.
Call us.
Green flag. Yeah, call Lindsay. Seriously, we'd love to have you.
We love you. We love you. Okay.
Yeah.
My green flag is with Steve in the way that he heard and understood noise, like what her barriers are for like communicating her feelings. I thought that he understood that with like no ego present, and he immediately, I mean, maybe it wasn't immediate, but he eventually got to an understanding of how to help her healing in their home. And I thought that was evolved well beyond my imagination. So snaps, green.
Get it.
Steve gets a lot of green flags week to week.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He is a good dude. Whether it works out with Noy or not, I am not worried for him. Mine is with Mike. Also gets a lot of green flags. And him asking the clarifying question. I was so excited when that moment happened because, like I said, it's a perfect example of what I talk about all the time. And so, really, really, really proud of him. Get it, dude. Thank you for leading by example.
Yeah. Love Mike. I love Mike. He's such a little cutie. I love his little smile.
I know. It was interesting seeing childhood photos of him without a beard. I was like, oh, hey. I kind of like the beard. I mean, he looked great, too.
Yeah,
clean
he looks
shaven,
good with the beard. He looks good with the beard.
All right. So
we did it.
We did it. So just a reminder, if you want a free mini session with Bria and I, head to our website, ditchthescriptpod.com/podcast, and fill out a quick form, and we will email you to schedule your mini session with us. We are so excited for this new segment of our show.
I have been like buzzing since you shared this with me. Yes. Literally fucking buzzing.
It's going to be so fun. And then if you don't already, follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Our handle's @DitchTheScriptPod. And please leave a rating or review wherever you listen to us, whether on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, because that helps us grow. And I feel like we have a pretty good show here. I feel like we're communicating some valuable information.
We can heal the world.
Yes.
We can
healing the world through psychology.
And friendship.
Bo would also approve of that.
Yep. Healing the world with psychology and friendship. Okay. We'll work on the jingles. Well.
But that's it for this week.
We did it. Love you.
We did it. Bye.
Bye.